When I first started researching how cars are built, I noticed something was off. The same pattern kept repeating across every comparison, teardown analysis, and long-term ownership study. Luxury cars from brands like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi consistently cost more to manufacture than mass-market cars from Toyota or Honda, sometimes significantly more. Yet, when you look at objective reliability data, consumer reports, and warranty claim rates, luxury cars almost always perform worse. For example, a Mercedes S-Class costs roughly 3 times as much as a Toyota Avalon to build. However, after 5 years of ownership, the Mercedes will have spent more time in the repair shop. The Toyota will still be running exactly as it did on day one. This wasn't an isolated case, it's the rule, not the exception. That confused me. In almost every other industry, you expect better performance when you pay more. But with cars, it seems that the opposite is true. The more you pay, the less reliable the car becomes. So I wanted to understand why. What I found was that this isn't really about cars at all. It's about 2 different engineering philosophies colliding in the same market and serving different purposes. Let's start with how a mass market manufacturer thinks about building a car. When Toyota engineers a Camry, they're solving for a very specific outcome. They need to create a vehicle that will start every morning for 200,000 miles with minimal intervention. That's the primary objective. Everything else is secondary. This results in a specific type of decision-making process. Each component is selected not for maximum capability, but for proven durability. Systems are designed not for peak performance, but for consistent operation under extreme conditions. Engineers aren't asking, what's the most advanced technology we can use? Rather, they ask, what is the simplest solution that will never fail? Take the window regulator, for example. In a Toyota, it's a mechanical system that has been refined over decades. The motor is overbuilt. The mechanism has only 6 moving parts. It's not elegant, it's not sophisticated, but it will work flawlessly for the life of the vehicle. This is optimization in its purest form. Remove anything that doesn't directly contribute to reliability. Use proven components. Minimize complexity. Design for the worst-case scenario, not the best. The result is a car that, frankly, feels a bit boring. The materials are decent, but not exceptional. The technology is current, but not cutting edge. Everything works exactly as you'd expect, so nothing surprises you, good or bad. But what matters is that the car will still work the same way 10 years from now. The goal of the engineering wasn't to impress you, it was to never disappoint you. Now let's look at how a luxury manufacturer approaches the same problem. When BMW engineers a 7 Series or Mercedes builds an S-Class, they aren't optimizing for longevity, they're optimizing for impression. The car needs to feel special the moment you sit inside it. It needs to show that the extra money you spent got you something genuinely different. This leads to completely different engineering choices. Instead of proven components, they use newer, more complex systems. Instead of mechanical simplicity, they incorporate electronic controls. Rather than designing for reliability, they push the boundaries of what's possible. The same window regulator becomes something entirely different. It may have a soft close feature. It may also be frameless, which requires more sophisticated alignment. It may also integrate with the car's security system. The mechanism now has 30 moving parts instead of 6. Each one is a potential failure point. However, this complexity serves a purpose. It makes the car feel more refined, more thoughtful, more engineered. When you press the window button in a BMW, the glass moves differently than it does in a Toyota. It's smoother, it's quieter too, it's more deliberate. You can feel the difference. The problem is that this approach conflicts with reliability. Each additional feature is another system that can malfunction. Each electronic control module is an additional computer that can malfunction. Luxury manufacturers deliberately accept this trade-off. Their customers aren't keeping these cars for 10 years. The average luxury car owner trades in their car after 3 to 4 years. This means the engineering horizon is completely different. The car doesn't need to last 200,000 miles, it just needs to be flawless for 40,000 miles, and then it becomes someone else's problem. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out. When I look at modern luxury cars, the suspension is one of the first things that stands out to me. It's not just a simple system of springs and shock absorbers anymore. Instead, these cars use pressurized airship. As I began to research how this system works, I realized that it is constantly monitoring everything. It monitors the road surface, my driving style, and even the load on the car. So the car is constantly adapting. It softens on smooth roads, stiffens in corners, and compensates when weight is added. On paper, this looks like an impressive engineering achievement. However, I had to stop and ask a deeper question. Is all this complexity necessary for better driving, or is it mainly there to create the perception of luxury? It's genuinely impressive technology. The ride quality is noticeably superior. You feel like you're driving something that intelligently responds to conditions. But here's what that system actually involves. There are air compressors, pressure sensors, and height sensors at each corner, electronic control valves, and air lines throughout the chassis. Multiple computer modules coordinate everything. Each component is precision manufactured. The entire system relies on maintaining air pressure within tight tolerances despite being constantly exposed to road salt, moisture, temperature extremes, and vibration. Compare that to a conventional suspension system. It has a steel spring and a hydraulic damper. There are 2 components per corner. There are no electronics. No calibration is necessary. The spring compresses and the damper resists. Physics handles the rest. 10 years later, the system is still doing the same job it did when the car rolled off the lot. The air suspension will likely develop issues before the conventional system does. Maybe a compressor will fail. Maybe a sensor corrodes. Maybe an airline develops a leak. When it does fail, the repair costs are substantial. However, during the first few years of ownership, the air suspension provides a driving experience that justifies the extra cost. You paid extra and you got something that feels fundamentally different. This is where brand narrative becomes more important than engineering reality. Luxury manufacturers have spent decades cultivating a specific perception of their brand. They're not just selling transportation, they're selling the idea that their cars represent the pinnacle of automotive engineering. They want customers to believe that the extra cost reflects superior craftsmanship, better materials, and more advanced technology. In some ways, that's true. The materials used for luxury car interiors are genuinely higher quality. The leather is better. The trim is real metal or wood, not plastic. There's real substance behind the perception. However, the perception extends far beyond the substance. When a BMW breaks down, it's dismissed as an isolated incident. When a Toyota breaks down, however, it makes headlines because it's so unusual. Although the reliability data might show that BMWs are 3 times more likely to have problems, the brand narrative is strong enough that consumers interpret those problems as acceptable trade-offs. This is psychological pricing theory playing out in real time. The higher price creates an expectation of exclusivity. This exclusivity reinforces the perception of quality. This perception of quality enables the manufacturer to justify the higher price, regardless of whether the objective performance warrants it. Mercedes isn't charging more just because the car costs more to build. They're charging more because they've successfully established that a Mercedes is worth more. This value is constructed through marketing, heritage, brand positioning, and careful control of distribution. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The market actually rewards this behavior. What would happen if Mercedes decided to completely re-engineer their cars using Toyota's reliability philosophy tomorrow? They would strip out complexity, use proven components, and optimize for longevity over impression. Their reliability scores would improve dramatically. Ownership costs would plummet, but their sales would collapse. Customers who buy luxury cars aren't primarily buying them for reliability. They're buying them for the status, taste, and success the car signals. A simplified Mercedes would undermine the entire value proposition. This creates a perverse incentive structure. Luxury manufacturers are actually discouraged from improving reliability because excessive reliability suggests insufficient sophistication. Meanwhile, mass market manufacturers face the opposite pressure. Their customers are buying primarily on value and dependability. So both types of manufacturers are responding rationally to their market incentives. They're building exactly the cars their customers want, even if those wants seem contradictory from an engineering perspective. There's also an interesting temporal element to this. Luxury cars are primarily designed for the first owner. They are designed to make an immediate impression, justify their premium price during the warranty period, and reinforce the buyer's decision in those critical early years. Complex systems, cutting-edge features, and visual drama exist for one reason: perception. Mass-market cars, on the other hand, are engineered for second and third owners. Someone buying a 5-year-old Toyota isn't buying status, they're buying transportation. The car still has to work flawlessly. Longevity, simplicity, and durability are prioritized because the value proposition depends on long-term reliability. This difference explains the dramatic depreciation gap. A 3-year-old luxury car may lose 60% of its value, whereas a comparable mass-market car may lose only half that amount. The market understands what's coming. Expensive, complex systems are approaching their failure phase, and maintaining them will be costly. This leads to the central paradox. Why do luxury cars cost more to build, yet perform worse in terms of reliability? Because reliability isn't the goal, perception is. Luxury cars are optimized to provide an exceptional experience, not to last forever. Within certain price segments, perception is more valuable than durability. This pattern isn't unique to cars. You see it in fashion, where designer handbags cost 20 times more than functional equivalents, yet don't last as long. You see it in consumer electronics, where premium devices have fragile features. You see it in architecture, where luxury homes rely on complex systems that demand constant upkeep. Beyond a certain quality threshold, consumers aren't buying better performance. They're buying differentiation, identity. They're buying a story they tell themselves about who they are. Markets aren't irrational. They simply optimize for what people are willing to pay for. People will pay just as readily for emotion, status, heritage, and symbolism as they will for function. The real question in any purchase isn't which product is objectively better, it's what am I actually buying beyond the specifications? Luxury cars cost more and break more often, not by accident, but by design. Once you recognize that, you start seeing the same pattern everywhere.